My name's Campbell, and I'm the creator and lead developer of Before the Deep. Welcome to what will hopefully be the first in a series of dev blogs, giving you an overview of how we went from this to this. Before we get started, please like, comment and subscribe. This lets the algorithm know that people are interested and helps us grow the channel. Thanks to those of you who've already done so. In these early stages particularly, your support really does mean the world to us.
It shows we're not just screaming into the void.
In Before the Deep, you're tasked with trying to maintain order in an increasingly turbulent border region of the deep sky. It's been a long road to get here, and after 2 years of development, we finally reached the point where we're comfortable sharing our progress so far. You can check out a brief overview of the journey in our making of trailer here. This all started from a very unusual place. On Halloween of 2016, my friends and I were going to a party dressed as Airship pirates. To keep our costumes consistent, I started building worlds so we'd all fit in. Halloween passed, but the world remained. Little did I know what it was going to become. When we started this project, the only experience any of us had at making a game was a Kerbal Space Program clone that I'd written in Python while at uni. As I'm sure you'll agree, that wasn't particularly helpful. At the start, while we were in the planning phase, we listened to a lot of advice on making an indie game. The most common thing we heard mentioned was to start with something small, expect production to fail when things got complicated, and then restart. Instead of doing the sensible thing and making something simple like a platformer,
No shade to platformers.
we decided to take a risk and make something we were passionate about, that we'd actually want to play ourselves. Initially, we had plans to create a 2D open-world exploration game. Due to how things work within a game engine, we decided the best method for this would be to use 3D models from a top-down perspective. Our thinking was that this would simplify production, but as we continued to work on the 2D version, we quickly discovered that a 2D world fixes some issues and it creates a whole lot more. Eventually, it was decided if we were running things in 3D anyway, we might as well commit fully to 3D. This made a lot of sense because, unsurprisingly, the ability to go up and down is a key feature of an airship. Probably the most insane thing we did during development was the combat.
Anyway, I started blasting.
We'd always planned to include a detailed combat system, but we'd intended to implement it later, as it would be by far the most complex thing we'd had. This ended up being something that, as we added more things to the game, would hang over development. We knew that the longer we waited, the more trouble it would cause in future when we added it. And so, somewhat insanely, we ended up building a full ballistics and armor simulation. Not the sort of thing you should be doing for your first game, but we'll go into that in future dev blogs. Finally, the biggest course correction we made was to the open world nature of the game. From a technical standpoint, all the work on that has been done. It's there in the background. But after more and more playtesting, it became clear that the open world we were intending wouldn't be viable, but not for the reasons we were expecting. Before the Deep obviously uses airships, it's better to think of them as a hybrid of a naval vessel and an airship. And one of the defining features of being on a ship is time. A lot of time. A vast amount of time with absolutely nothing going on. Even with time compression, this led to way too much of the player not doing anything, followed by brief moments of sheer terror. Unsurprisingly, this isn't exactly the most riveting of gameplay. To solve this, we rethought the open world nature of the game. Instead of constantly being in command of your ship, we built a campaign map which would allow you to have the best of both worlds. With this system in place, it became a natural progression to allow the player to command multiple ships and settlements. However, again, we'll explore this in future dev blogs. And that brings us to this channel. We'll be running several series. The first of these will be the dev blogs. Initially, we'll be going through the work we've done, but as time goes on, we'll move on to updating you on the current progress. These blogs are going to go in depth as to how we've actually created some of these features. Alongside this, we'll be producing Tales from the Deep, an audio series following a descent into the deep sky. While not directly connected to Before the Deep, this series lets us explore more of the world before the game's release, and from a unique angle in comparison to the game itself. And finally, as a bonus, we'll be releasing Songs of the Deep, a collection of shanties and music from Before the Deep. From the very beginning, music has been such an important part of this journey, so we'll be sticking that up as well. And that's it for this dev blog. Thank you very much for listening to the end if you still are, and again, please like, share and subscribe, and we hope to hear from you in the comments.